What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever Watchtower. This is my midweek show where it's all DC talk. That's right. Typically it'll be Thursday, but this week it is Wednesday Watchtower. So how is it going? Thank you all for joining. Looks like there's a good bit of you here. Got 5 people viewing. That's exciting. All right, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? The chat is popping off. It's been popping off for the last 6, 7, 8 minutes or something like that. It's wild. I have no idea what this music is. This is not going to be the normal music for the show. This is just some kind of AI generated music for this program. But that's what that is. So how is it going, everybody? Wow, there's a lot. Critic Chris, Slav, what's up? What's going on? Just a guy on YouTube. What's going on? What's up, man? And hey, first call out right there. First member of the Slavs Free Talk Club. Thank you so much. Just $2.99, guys. Support the channel. Support me. Keep doing this. Exclusive videos. I'm also thinking about, for members, possibly once a month having a little thing where we just kind of get together for members and we just kind of shoot the shit. We can just jump on a live stream, not even a live. Well, yeah, I guess it would be a live, but it would just be for members where we just get together and we bullshit and talk. Just you guys can jump on the stream, not through chat, but actually jump on the stream and discuss things. So that's kind of what I want to do. I'm thinking, just got to figure out the logistics of it, but that's kind of a thought I have there. Scared Life, good to see you. Good to see you too. Thank you for coming by. There's a whole lot of chat here. There was something that I saw by Jay Burns. This was an interesting question. I saw some of you already answered him a bit, but I wanted to bring this up before we get into the topic here. Jay Burns goes, I have a question. I know it's kind of hard to tell that when folks are being sincere, but just know I am. What has Gunn done that shows he respects the source material? I'm a fan of Gunn's, but personally see it. Again, sincere question, but don't personally see it. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of Gunn's, but don't personally see it. Again, sincere question. All right. This is actually a good question, because there are a lot of people who sit there and try and claim that Gunn isn't a fan. Gunn doesn't respect the source material. He doesn't do this, and they'll sit there and say he just does dick and fart jokes and things like that. I will say, go take a look at Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, people will sit there and say, well, that's not a good example, because he does fundamentally change the characters quite a bit there. Drax the Destroyer, for instance, is very different in Guardians of the Galaxy compared to his counterpart in the comics. Very true. But the essence of the character is there. The reason why it's changed, and a big part of that is, take a look at the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. Think realistically. Did you know of those comics? I don't know how old you are, Jay Burns. I don't know how old you are. I myself, in 2012, 2013, 2014, whenever that movie came out, I can't remember. Back then, I was 12 years younger, so I was in my late 20s. And when that movie came out, I knew of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I've heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't read the comics. Not many people really read those comics. They weren't a known commodity. They weren't a huge comic book run. They weren't one of those comic books that everybody knew. The Avengers, everybody knew. Iron Man, at that point in time, everybody knew. And even before the Iron Man movie, everybody knew Iron Man. It wasn't a hot commodity. Everybody knew Captain America. Everybody knew Spider-Man. Everybody knew those big characters. Everybody knew Ant-Man. But you take a look at the Guardians of the Galaxy, they went and shifted slightly these characters, the characters that were found within those comic book panels, and shifted them and altered them in a way to make them more appealing to the audience that would be going and watching them on the screen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's no different than what happens from comic run to comic run. Comic book writers, comic book artists will come in and put their little take and their little spin on comic book characters all the time. No different than what they do and have been doing with the films, with Marvel and even in DC over the years. You take a look at DC, for instance, you have the Adam West Batmans, but then in the 80s, you have the Tim Burton Batmans. Very different. But then Joel Schumacher took over. Again, very different compared to what Tim Burton was doing. Then you had Christopher Nolan take over. Very different from Joel Schumacher and even Tim Burton. It's a different spin. It's a different take. It's just like what happens in comics. And again, you can make that shift. You can change things slightly and still respect and honor what you're getting and pulling from the source material. And James Gunn does that because he honors and respects who Drax the Destroyer is in Guardians of the Galaxy. He honors and respects who Star-Lord is. He does that, but he puts his own little spin on it. Again, putting his spin doesn't denigrate the character. It doesn't harm the character. It's putting his spin on it just like any other new iteration of the character is done when a new writer or sometimes artist comes into play. So that's what we'll see with Superman. He's going to honor Superman. He's going to, of course, in this Superman movie, going to put his little spin on it. And I from all accounts, from what we're hearing, Hollywood is abuzz with this. We just heard Meg, what's her last name? I can't remember, talking, one of the girls who was up for Supergirl. She talked on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast on how great it was to be up for that role and to actually audition for James Gunn and the crew there and how great they all were. You're hearing stories like this from people from Hollywood on how great everything has been with that set, with that production. You hear people talk about the script, on how great the script was. You hear how Hollywood was trying to get their actors, producers, and casting agencies wanted their actors on this movie because it is going to be a huge movie. It's because James Gunn, one, is a good writer. Two, they know he's very talented at what he does. And yes, he does take care in what he creates. So, I mean, that's kind of a little bit of it. I kind of went really in depth there. But hopefully that answers your question a little bit. And again, I say this all the time. DC, or specifically the DCU, it's going to have hits. It's going to have misses. Absolutely. And I hope that Superman is not a miss. I hope they come out the gate swinging and it's a big hit. But of course, the DCU is going to have misses. There's no chance in hell that a franchise is going to have no misses. Marvel has had misses, and they had misses early on. It's expected that the DCU is going to have misses as well. So we can't, as fans, go in expecting that everything is going to be phenomenal. But we have to have hope and trust that, James Gunn is going to handle this stuff well, because he has handled things like the Guardians of the Galaxy very well. So that's my take. That is my take. Ooh, a lot of comments. Andrew JD, he says, I've been lurking the past stream, but hi. Hunter Iggy, did you see my question, your messages on your Twitter page? I did. I saw your message about the potential casting for Jon Stewart. I don't know the guy very well. I've never really seen him. It could be interesting. But again, we're going to see that. We're going to see some of these actors come up that are going to be unknowns. And that's okay. That's okay. Because they don't all have to be knowns. That is okay. Critic Chris said, like a video chat, if you're talking about the member-only videos that I want to do about once a month, that is what I'm talking about. Yeah, having like a video chat with my members where we just sit and talk the shit through, us, just the members. We'll just set a day. I'll set a day each month where we just get on a video chat and just bullshit and just talk DC, talk movies, talk whatever. That's what I'm thinking about doing. It should be a good time. All right. So again, welcome to Typically, it's going to be Thursday Watchtower, but it's Wednesday Watchtower. DC fun. It's going to be DC talk all the time. So let's take a look at what we're going to talk about, because this is a really interesting topic I wanted to bring up. We've talked so much about Superman. I kind of wanted to move past Superman a little bit. I know Supergirl is going to be coming up after that, but Supergirl is pretty much within the same vein as Superman. And we got Matt Reeves' Batman, and everybody wants to talk about that. We got the Penguin. But an interesting aspect is, how can James Gunn really reinvent the Dark Knight? Like, how can James Gunn and Andy Muschietti specifically, more so Andy Muschietti than James Gunn, but how can they reinvent the Dark Knight for the DCU to stand out specifically from Matt Reeves' versions or Nolan's versions or Zack Snyder's versions? Because that is what is interesting. That is what is interesting. So over at slasfreetalk.com, I posted a couple articles, actually just about 40 minutes ago, they went up. And the first one here is how to stand out from past films, The Brave and the Bold. And I want to kind of go over some of this stuff. Now, again, Andy Muschietti's take on Batman is it's gonna have to be different. It's gonna have to stand out. And that is a big thing, because if it doesn't stand out, if it doesn't separate itself in some form or fashion from what we've seen in the past, and specifically what's going on now with Matt Reeves' Batman, that's not a good look. That's not a good sign, because we need something different. We need something that's going to really like boost and get people excited. Now, we know that James Gunn is going with a more fantastical adventure, a fantastical route with it when it comes to DC and the DCU. And Matt Reeves is not going fantastical. And Zack Snyder went a little more fantastical, but more grounded and more gods like, and with Darkseid and Steppenwolf. And sure, that's fantastical, but I think they got to go more fantastical in the DCU. And then we know how Nolan was and everything like that. So what could they do to shake things up a little bit and give the audience something new with Batman in the DCU? Now, obviously, I'm sitting here saying, no, fantastical. Well, absolutely. I think they should go fantastical. But I think the main thing they need to do is kind of focus on the Bat family. That's something, first and foremost, they really need to do that they've not really ever established. They started to in the Joel Schumacher films years and years ago. But since then, they've never really done that. Like, think about it. We haven't really ever gotten a Robin in live action besides the Chris O'Donnell version. Sure, you might say Joseph Gordon-Levitt was, Joseph Blake or whatever, but Robin at the very end of The Dark Knight Rises. And then we had Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl in Batman and Robin. But besides that, we've never really had the Bat family on film. And we know we're getting Damian Wayne. We know that if with Damian Wayne, that means that the Bat family has to be out there. And that's exciting. And I think if we really get into the Bat family, that is truly going to differentiate itself from other iterations. And that is exciting. That is a surefire way to make this version of Batman, this Batman film, different than we've ever seen before. We got Douglas Fryer. I'm terrible with names, so I'm sorry if I screwed that up, Douglas. Hello. How are you? Matthew got it, says a new Batgirl would be awesome if it's not like the cancel one. Everyone's savaged. Yeah. Let's see. Critic Chris says, I get the whole grounded take on Batman as seen in Nolan's trilogy, but am I the only one sick of that tone? Half of Batman's villains wouldn't be considered that grounded unless hard R-rated films are made. I agree. I'm over the whole grounded take with Batman. I enjoyed it with Nolan's films. And even like with Affleck, we never really got a Batman film and he wasn't really grounded. So I'm over it. I kind of enjoyed what they were kind of moving with the Snyderverse in that regard. It wasn't very grounded. And here we are again with this Reeves version. It's so grounded. I think that's part of the reason why just that film just doesn't land for me. It's because look, we did the grounded stuff with Nolan. Give me the fantastical. Give me something bigger, something more expansive and big. That's what I want to see. And that's where I want to see. I mean, leaning into the superhero elements. Sure, the the Batman by Matt Reeves focused on the gritty noir active detective elements. The Dark Knight trilogy emphasized the realism and grounded storytelling. But if Muschietti can embrace the comic book roots of Batman, man, imagine that. Like, imagine just really diving into those comic book roots. And that's what we're talking about here. Just get into those comic book movie roots. That would be exciting. That's what I would love to see. They are aiming for a more cohesive, interconnected universe. So allowing Batman to interact with other superheroes in ways that we've not seen before. Sure, again, I know the DCEU, the Snyderverse, yes, we saw bits of that. But imagine having Batman interact with a Green Lantern. Imagine Batman interacting more with Superman and having weird and crazy banter with him. Imagine seeing Batman next to someone like Hawkman or Hawkgirl. Like that kind of stuff is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. It's stuff that we've never seen before. And that is going to be great. That's what we need to see. On top of that, give us the crazy colorful villains. Give us the elaborate gadgets. Give us a more comic style action. That's what we need to see. That is what we need to see. Again, give us a lighter and balanced tone. Typically, Batman, yes, Batman is a darker character. I get it. Batman is a darker character, but give us something. I'm not saying Adam West. I'm not even saying Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. But give us something with a little levity. Give us something that can feel a little lighthearted. I think that's one thing that Nolan got right, that there were specifically in like Batman Begins, there were moments of levity. And I kind of wish he would have expounded on it a bit more and expanded a bit more on that. But there were a few times in Batman Begins that had moments of levity that really felt just okay. Yeah, this feels like a comic book movie. Comic book. There's a little bit of levity. If you could expand on it just a little bit more, that would be nice. I would like to see that. Let's see. JL, he says, I'm curious on the DCU batsuit, thoughts on the blue and gray, maybe on a bright blue, but like a dark blue. That's another thing. Like, how are they going to do the batsuit? Because they've done many different iterations of the batsuit at this point. You know, you got nipples, you got the metal, the bat symbol. You've had the gray and black. You've even had the blue and dark blue with the Flash movie. You've had the gray and blue and the Adam West. You've had the all black with the yellow emblem. A part of me thinks that they're going to go back to the yellow and black emblem. There's a part of me that thinks that, at least in some form or fashion. I have this weird feeling because it's so iconic. That specific emblem is so iconic. I don't think it's going to be exactly like the Tim Burton Keaton emblem, but I have a feeling they're going to do a twist on that emblem in some form or fashion. I just have this weird feeling, only because I think it's so iconic. They could go that route, or they could go the New 52 route, or the which is it the New 52 route? If I'm not mistaken, it's the one that's the bat, and it kind of has like that gold outline around it. They could go that route, but I think I could see them going the gray suit. I've always liked the gray suit. Like I really liked Affleck's bat suit. I was a big fan of the colors for that suit. Just if he wasn't so damn bulky. That was probably if he was more slim and cut, I think it would have been a lot better. Matthew says, I've been waiting for Barbara Gordon since the 1990s. Yeah, it'd be nice to see Barbara Gordon. I just hope they don't rush her into being Oracle. Like, let her be Batgirl for a little bit. Let her be Batgirl. Like, I don't want them to rush her to Oracle. I have a feeling that they may do that. But let her be Batgirl for a little bit. That's what I want to see. Scared Life says, I would also like to see how Batman and Robin would be able to handle something like that. Of course, we have to teach. Oh, you're talking about the Solomon Grundy thing that you set up above. That'd be interesting. Hunter Iggy, Skywalker Jedi is a attack film junk. I don't know what you're talking about there, Hunter. I'm sorry. I'm kind of skipping through things here. Hungry Almighty, focus on the Bat family, but don't make it too hard to understand for the general audience. 2, more fantasy, over the top villains. 3, Batman strength, speed, skill have to be Captain America and Winter Soldier level. Okay, I can see that. Um, the strength you have to be careful with. I think if you stick with like the whole ninja aspect, where like look at the Batman the animated series where he was I remember the few episodes where he was very, into the whole ninja thing, and he went and he fought Ra's al Ghul and stuff like that, and it was all like that ninja aspect, like that. Stick to the whole ninja aspect, that whole thing. Make him strong and smart in that regard. You don't need to make him overly powerful. Speed, skill, but not too strong, like not overly strong, just speed and smart and skill. Because that can make you even more powerful and more strong than somebody who's just overly bearingly strong. So I would go that route personally. Matthew, I loved Yvonne Craig. I grew up with her as Batgirl, but it's time for someone else to step into the 100%, man. 100%. How long ago was that? You grew up with her? How long ago? What's that? 30 years ago? 40 years ago? Cody Chris, I'd like to see Batman's costume in gray blue color with yellow oval. His most iconic comic design, maybe white eyes. Now we know it works for Deadpool, Wolverine. It can work. I know people say it works for Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think it worked for Wolverine. I don't think it did. It worked for Deadpool. Yes, 100% works for Deadpool. The thing is, the whole mask, if they have a full mask, it works. When you cut it off and you see their face down here, I don't think it works. Personally, I don't think it works for a half mask. It doesn't. Hungry Almighty continues his and says 4, more advanced gadgets that you can't see in the real world. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. Let's see. We got so many more comments here. Scared Life introducing more Bat family members would be epic. We could see Red Hood and Nightwing. We're definitely seeing Nightwing. Red Hood, I think, is a possibility for sure. Douglas Fryer, I didn't like the Batman at first, but when I watched it again, I liked it a lot more. I gotta give it another shot. It took me what was it, three watches to get through it all, 4 watches, something like that, something crazy. I kept falling asleep. I gotta find time. Maybe like if I ever have the house to myself, I'll get myself like a nice bowl of popcorn and a nice big jug of water, because all I drink is water, and just sit down, just turn it on. I have a nice whole light, Govee light set up around my TV. Just turn it on and just watch it. That's what I'll probably do. Jay Burns, do you think we should have a good mix of fantastical and regular villains? Like, I'd love to see Clayface and all, but I'd also love to see Professor Pig or the Ventriloquist, for example. Well, that's going to be my next thing that we get here once I get through this stuff. We're going to talk about villains as well. He says, are they going to do underwear on the outside again so people can freak out like on Superman? Everybody gets underwear. Green Lantern, Batman, Wonder Woman, everybody gets underwear on the outside of their costume. I don't care. Everybody gets it. Everybody. That's it. I don't care. Just because of how everybody's going to freak out. I want everybody to have underwear on the outside of their costumes. That's it. I think they should go back and reshoot all of Lex Luthor's scenes, and I don't care what suit he's wearing. They should just put a pair of tighty whities on the outside of his suits. That's all they need to do. Just piss off everybody. I mean, come on. People are ridiculous. Just whatever makes it look good. I don't care. Like, I think this Superman suit looks really good, and it's fine with the underwear. If they made a suit that looked fine without the underwear, and it's not even underwear, it's the briefs. It's briefs on the outside. It's not underwear. But if they make a suit that looks good without briefs, then it has no briefs. If they make a suit that looks good with briefs, then make it with briefs. whatever looks good. And we know with these franchises, we're going to get how many costume changes throughout the years. We're going to have a new suit every single movie, probably, which if this movie we get it with briefs, the next one there will be no briefs. Or if this one without, the next one probably will have briefs. It's just the way it's going to be. Critic Chris, the Amazing Spider-Man, the animated series, man. I'm tired, guys. Is the best adaptations in live action is best route to go. Yeah, adaptions. I can't talk today. JL, also the Arkham games show that a fantastical Batman works. And many fans like me included want that type of Batman. For sure. All right, I'm going to get back to this here over here. We got a few more to go through. I think also with this Batman is to explore Damian Wayne's unique storyline, because that's the thing. That's another thing. Damian Wayne has a very interesting story. And yeah, I'm a little upset that we're not going to really get to explore other Robins, like really explore Dick Grayson or really explore Jason Todd or Tim Drake. I'm not a big Tim Drake fan, but you're not going to get to explore some of these other Robins that there have been. But Damian Wayne does have a unique story, being the son of Bruce Wayne that he didn't even know about, being the son of Talia al Ghul. That is very interesting. Being trained and essentially raised by the League of Assassins. Like that's really interesting. And then I've said this on another show, on another live show before, that it's really an interesting aspect that, let's say Jason Todd was a Robin in the movie, and Batman, Bruce Wayne, is struggling with the death of Jason Todd. Like that is what he's struggling with. But Damian comes into his life and he's pushing him away. And he's pushing him away because he failed Jason Todd. Jason Todd died. He failed Jason because he was like a son to him, but he failed him. And Damian's coming into his life. And he sees Damian making all the similar mistakes, same mistakes that Jason was making, but he can't bring himself to get close to Damian because of what he felt and how he felt after the death of Jason. And that struggle that Bruce would be going through because of that. That's such an interesting story. But it's so much harder for him because it is his son by blood. So there would be this internal struggle of Bruce going through this. I just think it would be great. And then you have Damian, who is going to have this desire, and this not this desire, but this willingness to just kill because of where and how he was brought up. But then you have Batman with a no kill rule. It could be very, very interesting. And I think, again, you explore that. That is very different than what we've seen in the past. Number 5, villains and supporting characters. Now, with this Muschietti film, as well as Gunn, they could help influence Gunn could help influence his knack for elevating lesser known characters and giving them depth. That's another thing that's great about Gunn, is he loves to take lesser known characters and really give them more depth, lift them up. So The Brave and the Bold could explore underutilized Batman villains such as Hush, the Court of Owls, or Professor Pig, instead of reusing the old Jokers and Riddlers and Scarecrows and stuff like that. So Gunn and Muschietti could introduce audiences to new threats that challenge Batman in fresh ways. Again, adding people like Talia al Ghul and the broader League of Assassins could make the film more globally focused with a more diverse set of locations, characters, and philosophical conflicts. And I know that the League of Assassins, or as in Nolan's movies, the League of Shadows is what they were called there. Talia was, in Nolan films as well. Yes, I get that. But they weren't explored at the kind of depth that they can go with bringing Damian into it. And I think that's why this could be so much different. And this is the one that I put on here, but I'm a little different on this. A more established Batman. Because I really think that he should be around his, between 30 and 40 years old. But if they go the more mature route, they could make a more Batman that's been operating for years is trying to deal with fatherhood and a legacy, which could lead to deeper themes about family and responsibility. This older, wiser Batman could be contrasted with a younger, more violent Damian, and clash of values. And this clash of values could provide rich storytelling opportunities. So that's, I think, a good bit of different ways that they could reinvent the Dark Knight for the DCU and really separate it from other ways. That's what I think. Let's see, Andrew JD. I think showing Batman using various different martial arts would be better than just raw strength and power. Exactly. But that was kind of Zack Snyder's take. Was like, just make him big and beefy. Christopher Nolan didn't really do much of anything with his skill set, and showed, they didn't really show him be a martial artist or be really proficient in fighting. And then that's another thing. You want to show the proficiency and why he's able to be so good at what he does. So if you show him in really good at martial arts, well, there you have it. Hungry Almighty. But the thing is, Batman has always had super soldier levels of strength in comics and animation. Yeah, to a certain degree, yes and no. Um, uh, he's toned himself and tuned himself so much that it seems that way. Like, he's never taken a secret, soldier serum or anything like that. He's been able to train his body and make his body to a certain and get it to a certain point that it seems like he's so super strong. I don't think that he needs to be big and beefy like Ben Affleck's Batman was, which I think was still a great version of Batman, but I don't think he needs to be like that. Just my opinion. Again, this is all discussion, guys. None of our opinions are right or wrong here. It's just, this is all discussion. Don't forget that. Stunna Williams. We don't need the yellow and black emblem. Like I said, I just have a feeling that they're gonna do a twist on it in some form or fashion. It's not gonna be exactly the Tim Burton Michael Keaton emblem. I just have a feeling they're gonna make a twist on it. Even, like I said, possibly bringing like the new 52 version and maybe combining the two in some way. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe not at all. Mana's Time. I would love it if they based it on the one in the Arkham games. The emblem, that's not a bad logo. It's not a bad logo. I don't mind that one at all. Critic Chris. White Eyes could work if done right. Perhaps the live action Batman Beyond films, if we ever get that to that point. Again, that's a full mask though. So yeah, it would work there. Like I said, I just feel with the white eyes, it doesn't work if it's a half mask. Just my opinion. Hungry on my red. I'm guessing you're saying, meaning Red Hood is still a possibility because Gunn has liked a post from someone saying hope to see these two, and post was Nightwing and Red Hood. Probably reaching, but it is something. I think we'll see him again. When they talk about having Damian Wayne, I think you're going to have to see Red Hood. I think they're going to have a Jason Todd. I just think there is. Scared Life, like to see maybe they have some memories where it's like kind of reminiscing with Red Hood about something, just remembering when they were Robins. Possibly. Douglas Fryer. I would like to see Brainiac. Well, Brainiac's not so much a Batman villain. He's a Justice League villain, so that kind of works. But yeah, I think my honest opinion, I think Brainiac is going to be the villain for the Justice League movie. I really believe that's what it's going to be. I think that's what's going to be set up. It's going to get started in Superman. We're going to see a bit of it in Supergirl. And I think overall, that's what's going to get built up to. That's what I think. I think it's going to be teased in both those films. Very slightly teased in both those films that Brainiac is coming. Just my opinion. Critic Chris, underwear pajamas, no big deal. Audience will accept it if it all looks good. Exactly. Travis Mitchell, how's it going, everyone? What's up? Speaking of ventriloquist, I feel like Robin Williams could have. Oh, man. He was almost the Joker back in the Tim Burton film. But, man, ventriloquist, that would have been interesting. definitely would have been interesting. Jay Burns. I do a lot of fan casts just for fun and had Neil Patrick Harris as ventriloquist. That's a good one. And Josh Gad for Toyman. That could work. I'm not a big Josh Gad fan. He just kind of gets annoying to me, but Toyman's kind of annoying. So that works. TSC Pulse. Damn, how late am I? We started about 30 minutes ago, my man. So you're not too bad. All right. So everybody seems to be talking about villains. So let's move over to villains who can make the DCU's Batman film unforgettable. Choosing the villain for the DCU Batman film. So that's another thing. I mean, we're talking about what they could do to kind of switch up this movie, do things to make it stand out from previous Batman films. But on top of like story, on top of giving him more gadgets, what he looks like, and things like that, and tone, villains could help do this as well. Because how many times have we seen the Joker now? How many times have we seen Scarecrow? How many times have we seen the Riddler? How many times are we going to see these same old villains just come into the Batman universe and just simply be a copy and basically the same type of character? It's getting old. It's getting very, very, very old very fast. So what I did was I went and I just kind of threw a list together of characters that I have always wanted to see in live action. And we may have seen some of these in live action in other forms, but these are characters that I want to see in live action in a Batman movie. Live action, high budget Batman movie. So first off, we're going to look at the Damian connection, because I think the Damian connection is a big one. So the first one is Talia al Ghul in the League of Assassins. We kind of talked about that. And I know Talia and the League of Assassins were technically in the Nolan trilogy. We talked about that already. But again, being that Damian Wayne would be coming into this and Talia al Ghul being his mother, or being Damian's mother, I think it would be a perfect fit for her to be in Brave and the Bold. You can, providing a compelling antagonist, providing a complex relationship with Bruce, her loyalty to the League of Assassins, and then possibly leading back to Ra's al Ghul at some point down the line. I think it would be perfect. But with that, you can add in Deathstroke, because Deathstroke, Slade Wilson, has a connection to the League of Assassins as well. And you bring him into the mix, and then again, another great villain that you could then spin off. Now, what I think would be a cool idea, this is just me spitballing here, but in this movie, you have Nightwing, you have Batman, you have Damian Wayne. You have all three of them in this movie in some form or fashion. You have Deathstroke as one of the villains, not the main villain, but you have him as a villain in this movie. And you have them fighting, and you have the showdown of Batman and Deathstroke. But Batman, he can't take on Deathstroke and say the League of Assassins and Talia al Ghul and whomever else there is by himself. So Nightwing comes in. And Nightwing starts to take on Deathstroke and Slade Wilson. And holy crap, do they have an epic showdown themselves. And you know what this leads to? This leads to an HBO or a Max series, not HBO Max anymore, a Max series of Nightwing, a Nightwing series where it's Nightwing against Deathstroke in Bloodhaven. Oh, guys, come on. How epic could this show be? It could be phenomenal. A phenomenal series, I think. And I think of Daredevil season 1. Like, think of it like that grounded, that brutal, but for Nightwing in Bloodhaven. And have it where Deathstroke is just making his life miserable. That is what I think we need to do. That's what I think we need to do. That's just my thoughts. That's what I think they need to do. And hell, even make it, you can then add the Tim Drake aspect into it. Man, I just went off on a little tangent here, but you can add the Tim Drake aspect into it because you can have Tim Drake kind of being a protege of Nightwing at this time and have Deathstroke kind of like messing with Tim Drake. And that's what's kind of causing a lot of the conflict in this series. You can do something like that even. That's not a bad idea. That's just I'm spitballing here, guys. I'm just spitballing. I don't have all the pieces together, but I'm just spitballing here. James Gunn, call me up. Call me up. But again, Deathstroke would be great. And here's an interesting one that we've never seen before, but could build this universe is Lady Shiva, who also has a connection to the League of Assassins. She's a deadly martial artist, and this gets back to the whole martial artist thing. But she has a strong connection to Damian Wayne. Now imagine Damian Wayne runs away from the League of Assassins to go find his father. Talia sends Lady Shiva to go find him. Lady Shiva, maybe she's a little younger. Maybe she's early 20s at this time. She's not older, not too much older, but maybe she was more of along the lines of like the right hand, or maybe a very close mentor of Talia's or something. But she and Damian were very close. But Damian leaves. She's upset because how could you let Damian get away? Lady Shiva, go find him. So she goes after looking for Damian. And there's that little rivalry. Maybe it's even like sibling rivalry they have. That could be an interesting aspect. And another cool thing is she does eventually become the mother of Cassandra Cain, who eventually becomes a Batgirl herself down the line. I mean, it's so interesting. It's cool. It's different. It's like you can build out this with Damian Wayne. And maybe James Gunn is thinking in the same vein and thinking like, look, let's take it a few steps further, and you can really expand on this a lot more if we start here as opposed to here. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know. But let's take a look at the fantastical and possibly bizarre. I mean, Professor Pig. Who doesn't want to see Professor Pig? We saw Professor Pig in the Gotham show, which was not really done. It was done okay, but Professor Pig is a messed up character. I mean, he is a twisted, messed up character. And while I think Professor Pig fits a little bit more in with like the Reeves stuff, I think Professor Pig could fit within the Brave and the Bold and the fantastical, not the fantastical, but more of the bizarre side. It could be an interesting fit. Again, how does it fit with the Damian Wayne story? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they could find a way to make it fit, but it could be interesting. It could be interesting. Again, when we start thinking outside of the League of Assassins, Deathstroke, Lady Shiva, that kind of thing, you start to wonder like, okay, how does this fit with Damian? How does it fit with that? And that's where it starts to get a little difficult. And then you got Clayface. And again, there's multiple versions of Clayface, but Clayface could be a compelling villain. There's that emotional, edge to him. And could be fun. Could be a unique challenge for Batman and Damian. He can change his appearance, can manipulate others, impersonating them. That kind of thing could be a lot of fun. Could be different. Again, that's more fantastical. That's different. That's going to take things to the next level for Batman that we've not really ever seen before. And with the kind of special effects we have today, could definitely happen finally. And I think this fits better in with the DCU than it does the Matt Reeves verse. Just my opinion. Hugo Strange. He doesn't want to see Hugo Strange. And Dave Bautista's looking kind of like Hugo Strange now. And he's been seen on the lot of DC Studios and Warner Brothers, hasn't he? But he's a very interesting villain. He wants to discover who Batman is. He wants to psychologically break him down. And it could be an interesting aspect with Damian coming into the mix. And possibly that could be a way to maybe he captures the new Robin. And by capturing the new Robin, that's a way that it brings Bruce and Batman and Robin and Damian closer together. And they get closer together in that way. and he has to rescue his son, but it's the way that Hugo Strange is trying to break Bruce down. Yeah, just a thought. Man Bat. This is one that I've been wanting to see for decades, guys. I just want to see Man Bat. I just want to see Man Bat. And I think it would be an interesting aspect to do a storyline. And I mean, I think everybody's always thought about it. A storyline where Gotham has finally accepted that Batman is in Gotham. You know, they accept Batman is in Gotham. But there's a part of them that wonders, like, is he man or beast? Is he man or beast? And you can even have like newspapers popping up. Is he man or beast still? And it doesn't even need to be like regular newspapers. It could be the weird, tabloids that ask that question. Is he man or beast, that pop up? And people always like, is it myth? Is it legend? What is it? That type of thing. But then you do the storyline of Dr. Kirk Langstrom, where he becomes Man Bat and he starts terrorizing Gotham, and it then gets pinned on Batman, and people start thinking that Batman is actually, he's turned in, or he is an actual creature of the night, and he's now terrorizing. He's turned on the people of Gotham. He's no longer fighting villains, but he's taking on killing just innocent people of Gotham. And you get, Commissioner Gordon, who's now like, I don't know what to do. Is this really happening? You can have a storyline where he, Batman actually goes to Commissioner Gordon, is trying to tell him, look, it's not me, but there's just so many clues that are coming up that it's hard for Gordon to believe him. You can even have where another villain, who knows, another villain, make it Hugo Strange, even have Hugo Strange play in this sandbox as well, where he is leaving these clues to manipulate the police department, to screw with them, to make them believe that it really is Batman and that it's not Man Bat. And you can have this whole cool thing going on there as well. I just have always thought it'd be a really cool story to go that route. I just want to see Man Bat. I think it'd be cool. I just think it would be really, really cool. But those are kind of the villains I would like to see. Let's take a look at the chat. I know a lot of people have been talking here. Let's see what we got. Xenodroid. We need Bane or Mr. Freeze done right. Man Bat would be cool too. Hey, look, I just mentioned Man Bat. Bane. Yeah, I guess we need a Bane at some point. We've had it done twice, two vastly different ways. We've had Bane done. The first way was more accurate than actually the second way, believe it or not, oddly enough. Not complete. I'm not saying it was 100% accurate. I'm just saying it was more accurate than the second way. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Bane later down the line. I just don't think it immediately needs to be done. Mr. Freeze. You don't like Schwarzenegger's Freeze? Oh, come on, man. What the heck? No, I don't think Freeze is as a compelling character as a lot of other people think he is. He's got one good story that we've ever seen or read, and that's about it. I mean, he's not all that compelling. I guess we could see Mr. Freeze at some point, but again, he's not to me all that compelling. He just isn't. And that's just me. Scared Life, I'm hoping that they kind of do a modern take of Conroy's Batman suit from the animated series. Yeah. I mean, he had two, like the beginning of the animated series, he had the yellow emblem, and then they went away from that and got rid of the yellow emblem and just had a big bat on it. Hungry Almighty. They to really establish the fantasy aspect of Batman, the first 20 minutes or so of Brave and the Bold have Batman fight one of his more over-the-top rogues like Killer Croc, kind of like the Son of Batman animated movie. That actually is that's a good animated film, by the way. And isn't that the one that's where he kind of Damian just kind of like shows up? Is it like, doesn't he just show up and like interfere with Nightwing or something like that? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched it, but that's a good movie. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Having him just fight someone like Croc or something like that in the beginning of the movie, and then take him to Arkham or something like that, and then just like that be the beginning of the film. That's not a bad idea. Just to establish and show the fans like this isn't the Batman that you're used to. This is going to be something different. Xenodroid says Deathstroke would be amazing, but frankly, I think they should save him for a Teen Titans project. I bet Talia and Raish will be in the new movie with Damian. Again, I think introducing Deathstroke in this movie and then pushing him to, like I said, a Nightwing show, but then that Nightwing show being the catalyst for the Teen Titans movie, I think would be a great like stepping stone. And then you can have even Deathstroke move into the Teen Titans in some form or fashion. Uh, Build your villain instead of building your heroes that way. Build your villain that way. I don't know, that could be an interesting aspect and an interesting way to do it. Deathstroke is such a cool character, and I think everybody has been just wanting to see Deathstroke for so many years on the big screen. And um, what's his face? Joe Manganiello, great Pittsburgh boy, by the way. I'm from right outside Pittsburgh. Great Pittsburgh boy. Uh, was perfect for the role. It was a shame that he didn't get to play the role in the DCEU. Maybe he's too old to do it now. Maybe he's not. Maybe he does get a chance to do it in the DCU. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's what everybody wants. Jay Burns, Nightwing v Deathstroke battle for Bloodhaven. Damn it. No. I mean, I like the Battle for Bloodhaven. That's my idea. I just don't like the V Deathstroke thing. But I don't like the title. I like the idea. Andrew JD, I can see the Deathstroke League of Shadows connection. There was an arc where Slade was thought to be Damian's real father in the comics. Yeah, I mean, Deathstroke has had his history has so much connection and so much. It's intertwined with Batman. It's intertwined with the League of Assassins. It's intertwined with so much. So he can absolutely fill in, and he's an assassin. I mean, he can fill in anywhere. So you can even have it where Talia is just like, look, I don't want Bruce to have Damian. So I can't kill Bruce. I love him. I can't do it. I can't have my assassins do it. So I'm going to hire Deathstroke to do it. Do something like that. I mean, that's kind of lame, but you get the picture. Something like that. Critic Chris says, great minds think alike. Hungry Almighty. What if during Brave and the Bold, Tim applies for a job at Wayne Towers and meets Bruce? At some point, he discovers the identities of Batman and Robin, and he helps out Batman and Robin by being on the back computer. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of like the idea, like I was saying, like maybe he's being mentored by Nightwing, by Dick Grayson. I don't know. I don't mind if they switch up the origins a bit for these characters. Making it more where we see maybe Dick Grayson takes, like, he tries to, maybe there's some history that between Bruce and Dick where he's just like, look, what you did, what happened to Jason, I don't want you to do again. I'm going to prove that I could be a better mentor to someone. I'm going to take on my own Robin type of thing. And he goes and finds Tim, and he's trying to train Tim to be a Robin. And that's when Damian comes in, and Damian becomes Robin, and it kind of pisses off Dick and Tim and all this stuff. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's so much potential there, guys. There's so much potential. Hungry Almighty, I don't know, but I feel like Batista would make a great Kilowog. He could. He's lost a lot of weight, though. He's not as big as he used to be. He's really skinny now. Go find some pictures of him. He's lost a lot of weight. Scared Life, Nightwing and Deathstroke could also be used to set up something involving the Teen Titans, since in the animated Teen Titans series, Deathstroke is the main villain. I kind of just, yeah. Matthew Goddard, who is going to be Green Arrow? Charlie Hunnam, will it be? I don't know. I hope they bring in a Green Arrow. I do hope they bring in a Green Arrow, and I I hope it's somebody cool. I hope they do something really cool with him. I hope it's different than what they did with the Arrow TV show. I love the Arrow TV, specifically the first 2 seasons of the Arrow TV show, which oddly enough, the second season was very heavy on the Deathstroke. But I do hope that they do an Arrow, a Green Arrow. I hope they do. Um, I hope they do something cool with him though. I do. Xenodroid or Xenodroid. I don't know how you say your name. I'm terrible with names. Man Bat needs to have some practical effects. If they make him 100% CGI, would be so lame. I agree. I guess for like establishing shots and up close, practical. I can see that. Yes, like in the pilot episode on Leather Wings. You're talking about the Man Bat stuff. Yeah. Is that what the episode was called, On Leather Wings? Hungry Almighty, what if Deathstroke is the main villain and he has an army of man bats, like kind of like Son of Batman? What if Deathstroke is the main villain and he has an army of man bats, kind of like Son of Batman? Heck yeah! Let's do it! Let's do it! Hunter Iggy. Owlman. No. Owlman? That's, what Earth is that? That's Earth. Is that Earth 99? Not Earth 99. What Earth is that? I don't remember what Earth that is. No. Andrew JD. LOL. I was about to suggest Man Bat framing Batman 2 or Hugo Strange creating Man Bat to test Bruce's limits and form a psychological profile on him. Look at that. Look, we all think alike. You see that? But again, we can't say that we're taking credit for this because these great comic creators and animation creators came up with a lot of these stories before us. We're just kind of picking and choosing what we've liked and saying, "Hey, James Gunn, do this." Let's be fair here. We're not. We can't take credit for a lot of this stuff. Mano's time. I would have loved Deathstroke, but if the rumors are true, they want Teen Titans before Brave and the Bold, so I don't know if it would make sense. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot Teen Titans. It could be coming out before the Batman movie. But then again, I mean, there's nothing to say that this Teen Titans movie, there isn't going to be a second one. So lead it into the second one. The first one could be something else. Who knows? Or the first one could be a lead-in to Brave and the Bold, and we could get a taste of Deathstroke in there, and that's how he leads into Brave and the Bold to Nightwing. So just kind of rearrange that a little bit. I just want to see Deathstroke versus Nightwing. I just think that would be so cool. I know everybody wants to see Batman versus Deathstroke because everybody was like, Ben Affleck, Batman versus Deathstroke. Rah! Everybody was losing their mind over that. But I think a Nightwing makes so much more sense. Like I just his style of fighting, his style, and it would be a much more interesting story because Deathstroke is way up here in the skill set, and because Nightwing was trained by Batman, Batman's up here, Deathstroke's up here, Nightwing's down here. He's not quite to the same level as Batman and Deathstroke. So it would be a good bar to kind of try and attain and reach if he can defeat and overcome Deathstroke and making him stand out and be the hero that he believes and knows he can be. And I think that's just me in my head. That's all. Hungry Almighty, what do you think of the title Nightwing Shadow of the Bat for an HBO Max show? That's not a bad title. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Critic Chris, question I have. How many villains is too many per film? 2 or 3? Depends on how you're going about it. I mean, like was said earlier, like the beginning of the movie, if Batman's fighting, say, Killer Croc for the first 10 minutes, do you count that as a villain? I don't. I count that as just establishing this world. So he's not really a villain in the movie. So that would be, you wouldn't count that as one. But then say we go with Talia al Ghul, Deathstroke, and Lady Shiva. Is that 1, 2, 3? Or is Deathstroke only in it for 5 minutes? It just depends on how they're utilized. I think overall, you have to have like one main villain. There's got to be at least one main villain. and then you can have lackeys, and that's where things get a little strange. Like you take a look at, for instance, take a look at The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight Rises was kind of a bait and switch. Well, it tried to be a bait and switch. That whole movie tries to trick everybody in saying that Bane is the bad guy, is the main villain of that movie. But in the end, you come to realize, no, Talia al Ghul was the main bad guy the whole time. So really, the entire time we're following her lackey. We're following the right-hand man, the lackey, the entire time. The main villain was Talia al Ghul. So technically, yes, there were two villains in that movie, but it was really a one villain-led film with a side villain the entire time. So do you call that two villains, or do you call that one with a supporting villain, a supporting character? Then you take a look at something like Batman Forever, where you have the Riddler and Two-Face, which is 100% two villains in that movie. That is both leading that film as two villains. You can't say one is lesser than the other because they both have a lot to do in that movie. Although you might sit there and say, well, Riddler kind of does more than Two-Face. Maybe you can say that. But I mean, they really have almost equal screen time. So again, you sit there and you take a look at it. So I would say it just depends on how they're utilized. Again, if the writing is done well, you can have 4 or 5 villains in a movie. If it's done well, you're not going to notice that there's 4 or 5 villains in it. You're just going to say, hey, this was a damn good story. And damn, the hero had to go through a lot to get to the end. DC Comics fanboy. Hello, Slavs. I still think Meg Donnelly would be good choice for Stargirl. Yeah, Meg Donnelly. Yeah, I talked about that earlier on. Meg Donnelly would be fantastic as Stargirl. I can't believe I didn't think about that. Yeah, she was up for Supergirl. I think she was the one that I was rooting for to be Supergirl. I can't remember if it was her. There was another girl that I was looking at, but no, I think she would be perfect as Stargirl if they go that route. If they go for Stargirl. Who knows? Who knows if they're going to get a Stargirl or not? But yeah. JL. The only downside of this movie is how far away it is from getting released. It seems so far away. I wish we were getting it in like 2026. I wish we were getting it like next week. Come on, man. Jay Burns, I guess it depends on the age they want Green Arrow. I know a lot of people want Lucas Till for the Flash, but if he's in the age group they want, he'd be my pick for Oliver Queen. Again, like you said, it depends on the age. Where are they going with the ages? Like, how old do they want these characters? You know, I mean, they went older with Hal Jordan. You know, are they going to do something ridiculous and go for an older Oliver Queen and then have Speedy be the main Arrow character? I mean, who knows what they're going to do at this point? I don't know. Should be interesting, though. Hungry Almighty, I know that we both agree that most likely the Batman Part 2 is the end of the Reeves verse, but in my opinion, I wouldn't just put right end it. I would leave the door open. Honestly, I don't even know anymore if it's going to be the end. I don't even know anymore. The way Matt Reeves is talking, it sounds like he's got like 15 TV shows and like 30 more movies to make. Nah, he's not talking about that. I think he's going to get his trilogy. I do. I just have this weird feeling he may get his trilogy. Critic Chris, like Ra's al Ghul, Scarecrow main villains as Victor Zsasz was a mere cameo. Yes. 2026, The Bats 2, 2027, Brave and the Bold. From here, focus on DCU Bats. But after some time, once the DCU is up and running and everyone loves the DCU, then you can do Bats Part 3. Overall, my point is leave the door open. And then Hungry Almighty. I don't know if you ever watched Cobra Kai, but Jacob Bertrand Hawk gives me Wally West vibes. Yeah. Wally West. He's a little, yeah, I guess I could see it a bit. I do watch Cobra Kai. I could see it a bit. For sure. I can see it. Wow, I got to the end of the comments. I caught up to the comments. What man, you guys are slacking. You guys are slacking. I got caught up to all the comments. Man. Scared life. I hope James Gunn is watching his live stream. I highly doubt James Gunn is watching this stream. If he is, how's it going, James Gunn? But I highly doubt he is. Man, as OS time. My wish for the universe is what you talked about before. Every hero has its own character driven story and come in for major threats. Yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to see. Now, it's not even what it's not what I talked about. It's so that you're going back to what was talked about, and I'm going to pull this up here because this was something that came up. Um, I guess it was about a week or so ago. This is a rumor that came across my desk, um, and it's apparently the vision that is going to be for the DCU moving forward. And it's really interesting. I don't know if you guys watched the video. There was a video I posted. It's called DCU Bold New Vision. That's the thumbnail for it right there. James Gunn's game changing vision for the DC universe. And the article specifically highlights the DCU and Gotham's approach, Batman's approach. But it kind of is highlighting what the approach is for the DCU. So the DCU, this is what it says. This is what was kind of passed to me. The DCU will eventually have a large focus on Gotham's heroes. This will include Robin, Batgirl, Nightwing, Batman, and even the Teen Titans. Patience is key as the team works on scripts and details to build this unique world within a world. And that's key right there. World within a world. This is similar to how Gunn has approached Superman and then Supergirl immediately after, and he wants to approach Batman the same way. Each big hero will essentially have their own little world within the larger universe. Crossovers can and will happen, but they will have their own living, breathing world that can be explored to a certain degree. So this, like I said, this came across my desk. I get things occasionally from people. They'll send me stuff. They reach out to me like, "Hey, I heard this. Hey, I've heard this." And believe it or not, I don't ever want to be a scooper. I don't. I Years ago I said I wanted to, but I saw what happened to some people that that I know that were part of that game. I saw what happened. Not my jazz. Like that's just not for me. Not for me. But I took a look at this and I kind of was like, all right, reading this, seeing what James Gunn is doing, what the DCU is doing, I said, this is interesting. This is an interesting topic to talk about. So I said, you know what, let's put this up on the website and let's do a video. Let's talk about it because it's interesting. And if this is accurate, because from what I've seen, what James Gunn is doing, this sounds accurate. It sounds like what he's going to do is he's going to build out little pockets of universes within the larger DC universe. For instance, I'm going to take a drink here real quick. For instance, you get Superman and Supergirl starting off this universe. You're going to kind of have like the Kryptonian little section of the world, Metropolis and Supergirl and Superman and that kind of stuff. And you're going to have all those like super beings there. Then you're going to have like the Gotham stuff over here. You're going to have the Green Lantern stuff over here. You're going to have all of these little sections. They're going to have their own living, breathing worlds. You're probably going to have like Wonder Woman with Paradise Island or Themyscira, whatever you want to call it, over here. Quite possibly, you're going to have the Flash family over here. You're going to have the Green Arrow and his stuff going on over here. And depending on how big it is, it may be just relegated to TV shows. It could be relegated to films. Who knows? Or both. But if you do this, if you do that, if this is what he's doing, and then you have them cross over, it's brilliant because you can hire directors to kind of like, okay, I want you to play in this little sandbox. You can play in this little sandbox. You can play in this little sandbox. And it gives you the ability to kind of focus on a little area at a time. And then you have one overarching story that can hit all those, but not everything has to connect. It doesn't all have to connect. You can have an overarching story, but everything can be in their own little pockets. And you can still have an overarching story that kind of threads its way through it here and there. But these little stories, these pockets of stories can be more grounded, more, not grounded, but more intertwined with what matters over here. And I think that's the way that they're going to do this. And again, this information looks like we're really going to see it happen with the Batman stuff. Like we're going to get a taste of it with Superman and Supergirl, but once they start with Titans and Brave and the Bold and the whole Gotham and Batman Bat family stuff, that's where we're really going to see it. And that's kind of what this article was about. DC Comics fanboy, hear me out. Mark Dacascos as Ra's al Ghul. Who is Mark? I gotta look it up. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. Mark Dacascos. Let's see who it is. He looks familiar. Why does he look so familiar? John Wick 3, Double Dragon. That's all maybe from John Wick 3. I don't know. He looks familiar, but I don't know him. I'm sorry, I don't know who he is exactly. I can't give you an honest opinion. I'm sorry, DC Comics fanboy. JL, who or you think we get a Catwoman in this Batman universe since we have one in the Matt Reeves? I feel like for the DCU they might explore Bruce and Talia instead. I think they're 100% going with the Talia route. I don't think we're going to get a Catwoman. I don't think we'll get a Selena in this. If they're because they're going to have Damian in it, I don't think we get a Selena. Matthew, recast the Flash, recast Joker way down the line. Of course, he's been overused. Well, they'll recast the Flash. What do you mean recast the Flash? They're gonna get a new Flash, absolutely. Scared Life, who do you think the one main villain will be? I personally think it's going to be Talia al Ghul teaming up with Ra's al Ghul. I don't think they're going to team up. I think it'll be down the line. Ra's will pop up. I don't think Ra's will be part of this first movie. I don't think he will be. I think it's going to be. I think it'll just be Talia. I don't think it'll be. Maybe it will. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell right now. A question about Batgirl costume: purple or gray blue? I don't know. It depends. I think it depends on how closely connected to Batman she is. If she's a loner, then it's going to be purple. But if she's more connected to Batman and what he's doing, then I could see it being more closely resembling his bat suit than something that she would make, which then I would say probably more gray, black, or blue, something like that. Jay Burns, I really hope this universe puts the hatred to rest. Unfortunately, I know it won't, but as much as I love the DCU, I know it's over and have moved on. If 5-year-old me could see what's happening now. Yeah, I agree. He says he'd lose his mind. The DCU, Jay Burns continues, the DCU doesn't erase the DCU movies, and I can watch those anytime I want. Unfortunately, as well, negativity gets the clicks. It sure does. Jay Burns, now you're behind on the chat. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm way behind. Matthew Goddard, it makes sense to have one Superman and to build out the universe. I know people are pissed Superman and Lois is getting canceled, all 5 of them. Well, I watched the first season. I thought it was all right. Jay Burns, I really dug Superman and Lois personally. Tyler became my favorite Superman Clark in years. Hey, I didn't mind the first season. It's just those CW shows just aren't great. They're not great. They all suffer the same fate. A really good first season, second season does really well, and then they just fall off big time. It's just what happens. And then it's like the fourth season has like a resurgence, and then it just dies. It's like the fourth or fifth season will have like a resurgence, and then it dies. The thing that happened with Arrow, because that season with what's his name? What was his name? Vigilante. Was it not Vigilante? Who was the guy? Who was the bad guy? I can't remember who it was. Chase. Adrian Chase. was the bad guy. That season was actually really good, but it was like season 5 or something like that, or maybe season 6. And after that, it was just crap again. Flash had the first 2 seasons were phenomenal. And then after that, I want to say there was like one more season that was decent, and then it was bad. Black Lightning had a really good first season, and then after that, it was just meh, like the rest of the way. Supergirl was a really good first season, then kind of went downhill. What else was there? League of Legends had a good first season, and then it went downhill. Like it was just kind of like par for the course. Like they've all done that. Man, as time, love the idea of worlds within a world. Makes me more excited about Comic-Con. I'm again like this was take this as a rumor. All right, just take it as a rumor. I don't want you guys to get overly excited because this is what was passed to me. It says it right up here, rumor. Just take it as it is. It's just when I sat there and thought about it, and I said, you know what, this makes a lot of sense to what is happening. So that's why I wanted to get it out there, and it's good conversation. It's good conversation is all. Adam First, the Flash must be cast. He make a disaster. Yeah, I mean, if I don't think they're going to go that route anytime soon. This is a popular fan cast, but because of how popular this fan cast is, it's why I don't think it will happen. But Jenna Ortega as Raven, no, not going to happen. I'm not a big Ortega fan. She's all right, but she's not. I'm not a big fan of hers. Jay Burns, Prometheus. Yes, thank you. Yes. Adam First, is Booster Gold casting real? I think it is. I do think it is Kumail Nanjiani, only because of Zolo, whatever his last name is, Blue Beetle, basically let it slip that it was him. He said that they were doing some, he was excited about working with him in the role, something along those lines, not long ago. So I do think it's real. Matthew Got It says, Olicity ruined the show. That didn't help the show for sure. Definitely didn't help the show. Hungry Almighty, I have to agree with Jerry from Comic Cuts on this, but I'm willing to bet money that whoever's cast as Batman will be an unknown like David Corn Sweat. You're not going to get an A-list like Jensen. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I didn't know Hungry. That's kind of cool, Hungry. I didn't know you watch Comic Cuts. Cool. Or maybe I did know that. I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? I don't know anything really. Jay Burns hoping since this season is the last for Superman and Lois, they go out on a high note. That's what they're saying. That it's going to be a high note. That's what they're saying. All right, I'm gonna. Music's starting to end the show, guys. Wrap up here. Matthew Gaudette, guest star on his own show, The Flash, guest star on his own show. We are the Flash. All right, we are all the Flash. Come on now. DC Comics fanboy. I honestly have a hunch that Chris Pratt could be Green Arrow or I don't see Chris Pratt being a big actor, a big character like that. I don't see it happening. I don't see it. Critic Chris, only people I wouldn't mind reprising different versions of their characters for DCU from Smallville would be Michael Rosenbaum, Erica Durance. Love Laura Vandervoort as Kara. Ideal Supergirl, in my opinion. She was great as Supergirl. But everybody, Erica Durance and Laura Vandervoort, both but were in the Supergirl show. Laura Vandervoort played... who did she play in Supergirl? She was in season 1. She was a villain. Who did she play? It's like I can see her. Who did she play? Erica Durance played Supergirl's aunt, though. Didn't she? Was it her aunt or her mother? I can't remember now. Man, it's been so long since I watched Supergirl. Hungry Almighty, I found your channel through Comic Cuts. Awesome. That's pretty cool. Comic Cuts are great, guys. Go check out their channel. Great channel. Comic Cuts, Superhero Cuts. They're called Superhero Cuts. Critic Chris, I figured Chris Pratt would have been Booster Gold. I would have liked him to have been Booster Gold. I think he's perfect for it, but no, I think he's gonna be some kind of like minor character. Probably somebody that shows up occasionally, and could possibly even somebody who dies just after being in one film or one scene. Even, I don't think he's got a lot to do still with Star-Lord over in the MCU. I don't think he's going to be taking on another long role in the DCU. I just don't see it. Jay Burns, great show, man. Thanks for keeping it positive. We need that in the comic and pop culture space. Absolutely. And guys, remember, you can become a member. You can become a Slav Free Talk. What do I call it now? Club member. There we go. Club member. I changed the name. And like I said, I talked early in the beginning of the show. It's $2.99 a month. Get exclusive videos just for members. And I am going to probably start doing once a month where we just get together, just me and the members, and it's going to be video chat where you guys can just jump on and we can just sit and talk about anything for, about an hour or so, where we just talk pop culture, whatever you guys want to talk. We'll just talk and have a discussion. I just think it'd be kind of cool. So that's something, $2.99 a month to become a member. It's down. Just hit that join button. You have to subscribe first though, but subscribe and then hit that join button. $2.99 a month for all that stuff. Adam First says, he's younger character. How did they make the casting with whatever his name is? I don't know what you're talking about. DC, I hope James Gunn brings in Wildcat, and if I had to choose someone to play Wildcat, I could see Dave Bautista playing Wildcat. That's a weird choice. I think Dave Bautista is going to play Hugo Strange. All right, this is the last one, guys, by Hungry Almighty. Last one. Do you think a flashback Teen Titans movie when Dick was Robin would actually work, like a whole movie where in the beginning Nightwing is telling the story of when he was Robin to Damian? I could see it. But I don't know if they're going to go that route. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. We will definitely see. All right, guys, that was it. Although this one, Matthew Goddard says something about Ralph being better second time as Superman. Yeah, he definitely was. He definitely was second time, but I still like Ralph as Superman. But all right, guys, I got to get out of here. This was a great first Watchtower. Thank you all so much for joining and watching. This is great. Again, this is going to be my midweek show, the Watchtower DC Talk. This is all for you guys. Just want to talk DC. Next week, though, throw some ideas. Throw in the chat, not the live chat, but in the comments, what you want to talk about next week. We'll open up a community discussion on that. You can even tell me what you want to talk about there even. So let me know what you want to talk about next week on the Watchtower. With all that said, guys, I will talk to all of you later.